Hello and most welcome from my part. This is Pino speaking. Let's start with the first session, installation and upgrade. In this session we would like to show you the differences about the three installation modes. So custom installation, this is basically what we know from version 2.1, and the two new modes, the semi-automatic installation and the silent installation mode. With this, we would also like to become familiar with the online help for installation and upgrade purpose. And then at a certain point we will switch to a demo showing the features and prerequisites for the three methods. And then at the end of this session we will switch back to the presentation and become familiar with the concept of software upgrade from version 2.0 or version 2.1 to version 3.0. The information about installing the software is now included new in the new online help, which is available with version 3.0. Therefore, the three documents we were used to get with the installer package, the installation manual, the security configuration for typical deployment, and the system management console, they are not any longer available with the installer package. So those information here, the information of these three documents, they are now included in the new online help. In the further slides, we will see, we will get information how to get also familiar with the online help. When we want to install software on a customer side, then cybersecurity becomes an important topic. So please follow the Siemens guidelines in terms of cybersecurity and IT security. So how do we get the software? If you would like to install a software, obviously we need to have a software available. The process is the same as we know it from version 2.1. So headquarters delivers the software package to the distribution managers worldwide, and the distribution managers together with the librarians will tailor the software. So the librarians are responsible for customized extension modules, customized libraries, RC specific project templates, and also, if needed, for XML instruction files. This is new in version 3. These XML instruction files are needed when semi-automatic or silent installation needs to be used. So this is not a mandatory task, but it is recommended to have this also in the software package. So these two team players will then tailor the installation DVD, including the online help, for the different sales channels in the regions and regional companies. Then let's talk about the new online help. So you know by now the new online help is part of the delivery, of the software delivery, and as the online help usually is, it is available normally after you install the software. So to make it available for the installation and planning purpose, it is important that you extract the online help from the software delivery and make it available on a PC or on a USB flash drive or on a DVD. And when you start the online help, so this is more or less the way it looks like when you start it, and when you select the step-by-step guidance here, then you see that in the first line, installing the software is the topic. Yeah? Before then setting up a project, engineering a project, and so on and so on. The concept of the new online help is part of the classroom training, of the Delta classroom training. So we will not be able to show the concept here because of time issue, but nevertheless we will get familiar in terms of installation and upgrading purpose. When we click installing the software section in the online help, then you see here the list of overview, so planning the installation, new installation, installing service releases, upgrading the software, and additional installer workflows. So you got the full range of installing topics included now in the online help. When we talk about new installation, this means actually the first installation on a computer. And when we select this section, we come into the new installation topic, and there you see that all relevant information are available either for custom installation or default installation mode, semi-automatic installation, and silent installation. But we will see further information in the further slides about those three sections here. Semi-automatic installation and silent installation have been added to the version 3.0 to improve efficiency and simplifying repetitive installation processes. This really helps to improve efficiency, especially you don't need to manually select all the options as you know it in version 2.1. And in terms of distributed systems, this really helps to specify one specific, for instance, one specific server, and then use it for repetitive installation processes. So we are coming now to the new installation. So this means first installation on a computer. One of the enhancements in version 3.0 in the installer package is we added a new folder, the instructions folder, and this instruction folder includes a default GMS platform text file. So this GMS platform text file can be used when defining installation processes for semi-automatic or silent installation. So this is basically the way the headquarter delivers the software package to the global distribution managers, having this new instruction files, instructions folder included here with this text file. And what we know from version 2.1, we have still the GMS installer setup exe file here. So rule number one, if this instruction folder, this new instruction folder stays unchanged, so it has no instructions files in XML format included, then the installer wizard is exactly the same as we know it in version 2.1. So you can take the software the way it is delivered by the headquarter, and you could straight away start with the installation, and you will get the same wizard with the same process as we know it in version 2.1. And this installation process is now named custom installation because we have to distinguish it. We have to make a distinction between custom installation, so the default installation mode, and the two new modes. Rule number two, if this instructions folder contains XML instruction files for semi-automatic and silent installation. They are used for semi-automatic and silent installation. So what I wanted to say here, basically, for using the semi-automatic or silent installation feature, XML instruction files are required in this instructions folder. We will see how to generate them in the further slides. So we are coming now to the first point, custom installation. This is a repetition instructions folder without any XML instruction files, so the way it is basically delivered by the headquarter. I execute the GMS installer setup exe, and the installation process is the same as in version 2.1. So all options are manually configurable, and the end user license agreement needs to be agreed manually during the installation, as we know it in version 2.1. Depending on the cyber security settings, so these are the user access control settings, a manual restart might be required. Manual restart means I need to rerun the GMS installer setup. So important here, the way the software is delivered by the headquarter, and by not making any changes to this instructions folder, I still have the same installer with it, with the same process as we know it in version 2.1. The next step, let's talk about semi-automatic installation. So requirements here are at least one or several instructions file in XML format are available in this new instructions folder. The startup of this installer wizard is the same as we know it in the custom installation, but there is a slightly different. The moment the installer wizard detects an XML instructions file in the folder, the user interface layout changes slightly, so it will detect all the files which are available for server installation, or for client installation, or for FEP installation. And it gives me two options. The first option is I still have the possibility to select customize, and this brings me back basically to the installation to the custom installation. So basically the same installation. So by clicking on customize, I will start the custom installation as we know it from version 2.1. Or I select one of those available instructions file and I click on next, and then with that the semi-automatic installation basically starts. So depending on how the XML configuration is, installation options might be fully skipped or reduced to a minimum. So dependent how many options I defined in this instructions file, the options are fully skipped or reduced to the minimum. We will see this in further on. Also here, depending how the user access control settings are set up, a manual restart might be required, and in this case also the GMS installer setup has to be rerun after restart of the operating system. Now we are coming to the silent installation. So in the semi-automatic installation, we have seen that an XML instructions file is a prerequisite. This is the same also in the silent installation. The difference about the instructions file from a semi-automatic installation to silent installation is that in the silent installation, the options needs to be defined in more detail, because we need this to be able to have a fully automated installation. And the installation process, during the installation, we will get feedbacks in the Windows taskbar. So feedback examples here, we're showing three examples. The feedback when the installation starts. So these pop-ups, they show up for around 1 to 3 seconds. They go away, and with the next installation package, a new pop-up shows up for this time period of about 3 seconds, and shows like here the installation started for the prerequisite, and so on and so on. Or here the installer is going to restart the machine. So this is the kind of the way the silent installation, the process of a silent installation is shown in the Windows taskbar. To start the silent installation, this is now different to the way we start custom installation and semi-automatic installation. So we need the command prompt. We need to run it as an administrator, and then we need to run a command, and this command which is located in the instructions folder. This can be facilitated, basically, this process, how to start the silent installation. If you are a bit familiar with Windows commanding, then you know that this line here can be integrated into a command file. It is possible to create a shortcut of this command file. Why a shortcut? Then you can basically copy the shortcut on a desktop and then run this command as an administrator. This is also important in this case, to run it as an administrator. And this can all be prepared also to start the silent installation directly from a DVD. So this is typically, I would say, rather a librarian task, which might be included, as you know from the beginning of this session, in the tailored software package delivered to the countries. When the silent installation is finished, there is also a feedback available in the Windows taskbar. Could you please mute the microphone, please? There's a Windows taskbar showing the end of the installation. Could you please mute the microphone, please? And the log file lists the install. So at the end of this silent installation process, a Windows pop-up in the taskbar shows that a log file is available to view, and this log file shows the list of all installed components. And after checking this log file, the installation process can be exited by clicking specifically this exit feature. Also here, depending on the user access control settings, a manual restart might be required, and in this case also this has to be manually, the GMS installer setup exe has to be manually rerun. Let's have a closer look to this log file. So if in the case you miss to check this log file, here the information where the location of the installation log files are. So in this path you will find 3 types of log files. Again, depending if it's a silent installation, a custom installation, or a semi-automatic installation, they are a bit different. But you can check and see which components have been installed. So we mentioned many times these XML instructions files. So how can we create them? And as you know, they are used for semi-automatic and silent installation. First of all, it is recommended to use an XML editor similar to the Notepad++. This is a freeware from the internet to create XML instructions files. You will see in further slides how this is going to look like. Then, delivered with the headquarter package, there is a GMS platform text file. So copy this text file, rename it for the purpose of installation, so server building automation, server file security, or TBS, or FEP, or client, and change the extensions from text to XML, and then configure the installation options. So here you see the potential setup types, so variants of servers, TBS, building automation, DMS, security, or client or front-end processors with the combination of supported subsystems. Again, to remind you to this slide, it is recommended to include these files with appropriate starting procedure, with these predefined commands in the regional company tailored installation DVD. So let's have a look how such XML instruction file looks like. This is the way, so we are using here basically the Notepad++ tool. And you see that different sections are shown in different colors. So this really helps to define, to see in a really short time what we are looking for, and also each programming line or each line has a number. This helps also to see or to discover if there is any issues when using those XML instruction files. And basically said, when we start from the top, we see that first we have to define the setup type. So is it a server? Is it a front-end processor or a client? Then the installation path, the installation language, if auto restart, if this feature is going to be used or not, and so on and so on. So when you are familiar with the version 2.1 installation with it, then all those points, you know what all those points basically means. So whatever you define in the custom installation manually, this can be here configured to have this automated process, either the semi-automatic or the silent installation. In this section here, it can be defined if an end-user license is accepted by agree, automatically agree, And in this section here, we have the section of the Microsoft SQL Server 2014 Express Edition. This section here is now slightly different. This means the way it is set up here, just as a command, these are purely command lines without any executions purpose. So this will install the server, and if you like to skip the SQL Server installation, then you have to make this active basically as a command. By doing this, so this is the case, the use case here is I want to have a SQL Server remotely in a project, so not on the same machine as, for instance, the server. And in this case, when you select to skip the SQL Server installation, then the installer provides still these three components. These three components are required to, these are SQL components, SQL Server components. They are required to be able then afterwards to establish a communication from the server, from the Desigo CC server to the SQL Server, which is remote. And then we are coming now to the sections down here where we define the extension modules we want to install. And then at the end, the language packages. So nothing else basically we define in the manual, in the manual process of installing the Desigo CC software. The difference is if I'm using a certain type of installation several times, I don't have to repeat those manual settings, and there's less possibilities to have mistakes, basically. The online help helps you to define this XML instructions file. So for each section in this XML instruction file, I do have a very detailed description in the online help. So the setup type, I see if it's a mandatory tag or not. I see possible values. So this is clear. Either it is a server, which is a default, a front-end processor, or a client, with the description in the notes part, and to remind you what this actually was meant for, it has also a screenshot from the custom installation. So you know exactly by seeing this screenshot which point in the custom installation this is meant for, which one you would have to manually select here. Let's have a look from the installation path. So in the installation path, it says that it is mandatory for the silent installation only, so this is really mandatory. So when a specific section is mandatory for instance, the silent installation, this means that if you would use this XML instructions file for the semi-automatic installation, it still works. It will then give you the option to select this, but for the silent installation, this is mandatory. If you're not defining this path, it would lead basically then to a installation failure. So certain tags are mandatory for silent installation and would lead to an invalid entry and eventually to an abort of the silent installation. In the semi-automatic installation, the same missing tag might display the corresponding dialog box. Okay, so as I said, here you find the information about mandatory issues, and here the description how the behavior is. This is all part of the online help, of the new online help. When I'm using XML instruction files and I start the GMS installer setup exe, which means this is known as the semi-automatic installation procedure. The installer detects XML instruction files in the instructions folder and will check and see if there is any syntax issue. If there are syntax issue, it will be displayed as a warning. So very helpful. And it is recommended to use this feature also before starting any silent installation process. So at least you would know if there is any syntax issue in those specific XML instructions file. Also here in the online help we have the consistently checked scenarios section, and it gives you to different scenarios. It gives you the behavior during the custom installation, the behavior during the silent installation, and the semi-automatic installation, and might be with information what to do if those scenarios could happen. So XML instructions file where most of or all installation options are configured can be used for both the semi-automatic as well the silent installation mode. But because the XML instructions file for silent installation needs more precise configuration, of course those files can also be used very good for semi-automatic installation. So basically if you fulfill the requirements for silent installation, those files are very good also for semi-automatic installation. So important at this point is the end user license agreement. You have seen it is possible to define the end user license agreement as agreed during the process when using semi-automatic or silent installation. So in this case it is mandatory to hand over the end user license agreement as a file or printout to the end customer and ensure the acceptance of it duly signed by the end customer. This is a very important issue. And in terms of cybersecurity, so for cybersecurity reasons, we do not support certain features in the instruction file, neither with the installer wizard. This is changing user account control settings, so these are not possible with our instructions file, neither with our installer wizard, and also no auto login function is supported with our technique. Let's have a look again to the online help. For each kind of installation, so there is now here a list of it: installing server, installing client, installing server in semi-automatic mode or in custom installation mode or in silent installation. For all those kind of installation, we do have the online helps provides a specific description with a dedicated flowchart. So here the server installation for custom installation. You see here, I hope this is readable, for custom installation, so server installation. For each of those installations you have, first of all, a flowchart, and then followed with links to further instructions in sequential order, like here. Okay, so this first row of features in sequential order, these are all prerequisites. So you can click on it and then you get further instructions information. Then eventually there is a section where instructions are available for the purpose of installing the server in this case, so the installation of the specific system component, followed by recommended tasks to carry out after software installation, about software installation. My voice is going down. Anyway, we are close to the first break, but there are some slides open. So it is the way the online help have been set up is really helpful because it gives you the information, first of all, about the prerequisites, then installing the component itself, followed by the recommended tasks to carry out after the software installation. You can click on each of those links where you get more information. We are at the moment where we would like to switch to a demo mode now. I hope you can all see the screen. Yeah, this is should be possible now. So I'm what we're seeing now is a native installation of, in this case, of Windows 10. And I'm having, you see here that I have the online help available as we recommended in the presentation. And I prepared 3 folders, demo folders, for this demo purpose. Okay. So here, this is the software package we got from our colleagues for our training purpose, basically. So this is meant for training, for CPS training. And you see here we have the different files, and in terms of installation, this is the important files. So we are coming to this point where I got this new instructions folder and open it in a new window, including this GMS platform instructions file in text format. So this is the way the software is delivered from the headquarters. So by not adding any file in this instructions folder, I can now basically start the installation and you see that I'm coming actually to the installer with it, where we know actually from version 2.1. So our instructions folder, our installation software we got from CPS has included all the languages, as you can see. Okay, and I go to next, and I'm coming to the familiar point where I can either select the server, the client, or the FEP to install, and here either the system requirements or the selection features. So here we are coming to all the selection of the extension modules. So the typical manual process as we know it from version 2.1. So I will now cancel this, and this was the custom installation. So I take the software and then start the GMS installer setup exit, and we got to the same point as we know in version 2.1. Now what I did is I prepared some instruction files. I copy them. So this instructions folder has now not only the text file, but some XML instructions files. I restart the setup exit. This means I'm now starting the procedure for semi-automatic installation. And you see here down below that it does a consistency check. So the consistency check is in progress. So it has now detected that in the instructions folder we have instructions file available. And the user interface has changed slightly. Okay, it gives me now the 3 radio buttons of server, client, and fab. And in each of them, there is a specific XML instruction file which I could use to start the semi-automatic installation. But first, before we do that, or before we continue, in terms of semi-automatic installation, remember we have this customize. So if I click on customize, I basically could go back to the custom installation, and I could now continue with the custom installation. Okay, so there's still the option to go back to the custom installation. So I go back again here, and I'm coming to this point again. So why are those files listed in the server section, in the client section, and in the front-end processor section? This is not because the installer checks the file names. So these are the file names in the instructions folder. Okay. It doesn't check the file names, but it checks basically the setup type. And I'm starting, as you have seen, sorry, I'm going back again. I'm starting now this XML instructions with this Notepad++ tool. So the reason why it puts certain files in the server section and client section is because of the following feature. It reads the setup type in the XML instructions folder. So here server, and it knows then that this is a server installation. Okay, this file is dedicated for server installation. So the best to show you this is by using this file here. So this this file has the name of Pino _CLBA. So it doesn't have actually the information of a client, but it sees the setup type in here, and it brings this installation in the right setup type in the client. So these are the reasons. I do have next to me a specific demo script which I have to follow because so you don't see that. And I'm reading now this demo script because I don't want to do a mistake, otherwise I will mess up the demo. So the next I would like to show is exactly. Let's select the server BA installation. So I'm deciding now to actually start the semi-automatic installation. This means I select one of those files. It could be this one, it could be this one, and I click to next. And with that, I actually start a semi-automatic installation. So depending how this server BA file is configured, it brings me straight away, in this case, where I just start on install, and I see here the list of pending installation. Okay, I click on install, and it will install me everything the way it is set up in the file, in the instructions file. I cancel now, and I restart this installation again, and I would like to show you a file where the semi-automatic installation is not, or the instruction file is not, I think it's that one. I go to next. So I'm again selecting the semi-automatic installation. Exactly, and you see this TBS BA instruction file has been configured in a way that it has to show me, I decided that it has to show me the prerequisites, you know, the system requirements basically. So depending how those XML instructions file are configured, certain behavior change slightly in the semi-automatic installation. Okay, so remember that for the silent installation, you really have to follow the mandatory tasks in the online help. So, okay, now let's go. I cancel this again, and I would like now go into a bit more detail in terms of the XML, such an XML instructions folder. And for this, I'm starting the online help. So this is the way the online help looks like when it is not part of the system. So what I've done, I extracted the online help from the installer software package, and I made it available as a shortcut on the desktop. Okay, I go to search and I search for XML, and it brings me on the top to the creating an XML file for semi or silent installation. I click on it, and now I would like to show you how valuable the online help is basically. Okay, scrolling down, and we are coming now to the information about each section of the XML instruction file. So the server, okay, server here. So it is a mandatory tag. Mandatory tag means for both silent and semi-automatic. Okay, here the possible values, and here it reminds you actually from the custom installation which section it really it is meant for. Okay, then installer path. This is mandatory as a mandatory tag for silent installation only. Okay, if it's defined also for the semi-automatic installation, it will use it. Otherwise, if you would use now an XML instructions file without defining it for a semi-automatic installation, it will then bring you to this section. Okay, but for the silent installation, if this is not defined, it will fail. The installation will fail. So you see here now that installation language, every section in here is described in very good detail. Okay, each of the section, also explaining what happened, and so on and so on. This is this server DTA training is actually a file we are using for installing and preparing our Delta training course in Zug, in our training rooms. So we use this file. Okay, and you see in the section of extension modules, we added basically all available extension module of our software package. So here, this section here is in command, is added as a command basically, so with no execution. So it is possible then to change those, for instance, those extension modules and add it to a package. So this could be one recommended procedure to go. So we are using, as language packs, we're using English US, German, and French. Okay, so it's pretty easy to do it, pretty easy to use it. This first section here, this could be really kind of a standard for you. You can set it up as a standard for your country and then make the differences basically from here on down. Then the section of the Microsoft SQL Server 2014, this is probably also a section which in many projects are always the same. So you have probably a lot of projects where you're going to use Microsoft SQL Server 2014 locally installed on the server. So this is, I think it's really helpful to increase performance and have less mistakes. Great. So I would like to show you now the next feature. Yes, I'm closing this too, and I'm opening now this folder. I copy this instructions folder here, I paste it here. I restart this new added instructions file has an issue with syntax. So I'm starting the GMS installer exe again. It does a consistency check down here. And hopefully it's working, so it should now show a warning exactly telling me that in this file, in this server syntax XML instructions file, on the line 31, in position 31, there is a syntax issue. Okay, I'm opening this, so line 31, okay. So the problem here is that there's a missing syntax, basically. Okay, so in terms of syntax issues, start always the semi-automatic installation process also for files which we are using in the section of silent installation, so that you have a check everything which is in terms of syntax. Okay, good. Now I cancel this again. I have to make sure that I'm not proceeding with by the way, just one more tip. Of course, I want to show you, I forgot to show you one part. So because this file has an issue, okay, because the installer has found a syntax issue in this file, it is not listed here, but all the other files can be still used, and you could still start and go and make a, so this installer wizard is still usable. The only thing which is not being listed is exactly this file. Okay, that's important. So I cancel this. And now let's come to the online help in general. So I start now the online help. I would like to show you a few things here, where to find the information. So I go to the step-by-step guidance, as we shown before. And here we have the first section, installing the software, or here. So I click on installing the software, and I find all the relevant information about installing. So start with planning, then new installation, upgrade procedures, installing service releases, and so on and so on. If I click on new installation, I'm coming to this section, and let's click on silent installation. And now here in silent installation, all three components are defined in one section. And as I said, it starts with a overview of the flow chart. So you see here that, for instance, installing the IIS, this is the same procedure as we know it in version 2.1. So if you want to use IIS on the same machine where the server is installed, then install IIS first and then proceed with the installation, and so on and so on. So it is exactly the same. And then after the flow chart, you have every single step, every single requirement or step ordered in sequential ordering. And one of the steps is obviously then the installing, the process of installing here. And then here you got the section where it is described, where you have the full description of how to proceed to do this, basically. And then related topics after installing, post-server installation, and so on and so on. So this was a short introduction into the online help in general. Now we are coming to the point, to the last point of the demo, which is basically showing or talking about how to start the silent installation. For this, I prepared a text file, and this text file includes the full command which it is needed in this case. So in the first path, I have the location of the GMS installer setup exe, and then in the second part, followed by the instruction file I would like to use to proceed with the silent installation in the instructions folder. So I could now basically copy this, okay. I could run the command as an administrator, okay, and then I have to copy this again. Okay, I could now press the enter, and then it would start with the silent installation. So this is the procedure, one of the procedure which is described in the online help and also in our documentation, in our presentation. So I skip this now, I leave this now, and I would like to show the other procedure. So I'm copying the file. I copy the file, I paste it here again, I change the ending in command. Okay, didn't accept it. Yeah, I'm doing probably something's wrong. I delete this again. So let's try it again. It should actually yes, I want to change it. Okay, it has now accepted. So now it is a command basically. So I converted the text file where I got the information about both paths into a command. I could now basically create a shortcut of it. I could copy the shortcut here, move it to the desktop, and then run this command as an administrator. So I'm doing this now, so I'm starting basically now the silent installation. Okay. So you see that it is started, and you see down below here the Windows which pops up so that the installation has started. So that's the procedure of how the silent installation goes. And with every start of a new component, in the beginning these are the prerequisites, it will proceed until the end. So this is basically the way silent installation can be started. Okay, we are at the end of the demo. I leave this now. We are not waiting until everything is installed. This takes too much time. So I'm coming back to the presentation now. And we are coming now to the topic of upgrading the software from version 2.0 or 2.1 to version 3. We have basically two upgrade methods. So the recommended method, this is controlled by the installation wizard, by the installer wizard. So custom installation of version 3.0 supports upgrading of server, client or web installation, version 2.0 or version 2.1. So if I run the GMS installer setup exe on a PC, on a machine where version 2.0, version 2.1 is installed, the installer detects the older version and starts upgrading by the management system component, the prerequisite extension modules, language packs, and the SQL server if preferred. So you get guided through the installer wizard. This is the more efficient way. The other way is the manual method. This means manually uninstalling Desigo CC with the uninstall wizard, then manually uninstall all the software using Windows programs and features, all the other software, and then new installation of version 3.0. The benefit of here is basically that you could use one of the automated principles, so the semi-automatic or the silent installation. This is possible at this point. Where do you find this in the online help? So the upgrading the software is in the installation, installing the server, installing the software section. So it's one of the main topics basically. You've got here the full description, how to proceed to upgrade, and the manual workflow is described also in the installing the software. In the section additional installer workflows, there is a section about uninstalling the management station. Also here it describes in detail how to proceed step by step. But this is the first part of the workflow. The second part of the workflow then is the new installation of version 3.0, which is required. Great. We are at the question guide.
Yes, hello. Stefan Grass here, Germany. A short question due to the license concept from 2.1 to 3.0. As I know, we have a different license concept in these two versions, and how it is work works if you make an upgrade from 2.0 to 2.1 to 3.0 due to the licenses you had before and you need in the future with a new version.
Yeah, this the issue here, or the point is here, we explained this in the classroom trainings. We didn't include this part in this webinar because it would go too long. But of course, we are supporting migration. We are supporting migration, and the license modeling has changed a bit. But we will explain this in the classroom training because this needs. We have defined about a section of 60 minutes in the classroom training doing that. This would go too far right now. I'm sorry for that. But,
okay, thank you.
But any questions now to the installation, purely to the installation?
Hi, I'm Vaidyanathan from India.
Hello.
Hi. Actually, I was upgrading from 2.1 to 3.0.
Yes.
In this, when I'm running this installer setup, I'm getting only the semi-installation method only. I'm not able to do the customized installation.
If you're running the upgrade from 2.1 to 3.0 by using the installer from 3.0,
yes,
you are not able to. Do. It should actually automatically replace all the components.
Now problem is actually in that site it is already having that XLS integration also, XLS Fire EM also. That EM is not available in the current release, so it is not allowed me to upgrade.
Or additional extension modules can be added afterwards, after the upgrading. This is still possible.
Yeah, it is after it is possible, but currently it is not allowed me to upgrade directly. So I uninstalled 2.1 and reinstalled newly installed 3.
This is Rudolf Hotorek speaking. Hello. The UL panels are at the moment not yet released. This will be released at a later stage, which has been published in the release information already. So that's why you cannot do this at the moment.
Okay.
Any question? Any further questions?
Hi, I am Bakiraj from India.
Yeah. Hello, Bakiraj.
Yeah, I read from the release note that Windows 8 and 8.1 it's not supported in version 3.
Exactly.
But if you have existing installation where 2.1 runs on 8.1, what is the plan we need to do that?
So you would like to install version 3.0 on a Windows operating system 8 or 8.1?
Yeah, because the existing setup it's running on 8 or 8.1 basically with 2.1. So I need to ask customer to change the PC itself in that case.
Yes.
Do we have any workaround?
Oh, not that I know. But because we are not supporting 8.1 in version 3.0, so the only workflow I can mention right now, or I see right now, is basically either buying a new PC with a operating system 10, Windows 10, or uninstall Desigo CC 2.1 on Windows 8.1, upgrade 8.1 to 10, and then reinstall version 10.
Okay.
I mean,
okay,
reinstall Desigo CC, sorry.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, Philippe Coutelier, I have a question regarding documentation. Ciao. Yes, time to time our customer deliver all hardware by themselves, and they are in this case also in charge of installation of all pre-requirements. And for that, we should be able to deliver documentation. There is an easy way to extract from our global documentation only installation parts.
I mean, about hardware requirements, all the hardware requirements are described in the system description.
Yes, but I talk more about pre-requirements like install IAS, install SQL, and so on. So
Yeah.
it's really the part of installation in the global documentation. Because version 2.1 is quite easy. We have a specific PDF file for that. But
Yeah, exactly.
as I know, this file is not available anymore.
I know this issue. Yeah, we know this issue. Yeah, or we know this point.
Hi, here's Roger speaking. Well,
Yes.
first of all librarians have been informed by customer support that they have to extract actually the help files from the distribution. So with every local distribution, you should get a folder in addition to the distribution folders that are standard for the help. And you can also actually extract the help from the distribution if it's not available. There is always for an extension module, but also for the general help about the platform, the GMS platform is available. It's a help folder, and you can unzip this folder and all information is available there.
Yes, but it's I agree, but it's a global documentation. There is also information about subsystem integration and so on. So I mean just deliver installation documentation.
You mean that you don't even see the
yeah, exactly.
No, this is not part of the concept of help. This cannot be removed from the structure, at least not by, at the moment. Maybe we can take this on the kind of a wish list, what we would need for a future version, that we can actually really customize a help that all other topics that are not relevant can be hidden. This is not possible right now.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hey, this is Johan from Belgium. I was wondering, I noticed in a few of your slides that the path for the installation file, the GMS installation exe file, is rather long. And, from previous trainings, we learned that we should keep it as short as possible because the installation would have problems finding stuff and so on. Is this still the case, or can we use a rather long path like you showed us in your slides?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say it is recommended still to have short paths as possible.
Okay.
To make it as short as possible. But the issue is basically when you installing the software from a DVD drive, which the point is that is this DVD drive always the same in the future too? So there is an issue where when the DVD drive changes, so the DVD drive might change from E to F or so on. This is especially the case when you're using the USB flash drive for installation purpose. This is very individual on every PC. So this is this is the more important issue, that basically when you have the software on a USB flash drive, I would recommend to first download it locally.
Yes.
And then do the installation process, and then it's easy then using directly the USB flash drive.
All right. And probably still keep it as short as possible to avoid problems.
This is always the case. I mean, yes, I know we do have quite long path drive here, but so far with this version 3, we never encountered any issues so far.
Okay, good to know. Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Pino, hello, this is Tim. Do you hear me?
Hi, Tim.
Hey, listen, I have a beginner's question. It's great to hear that a lot of people have got the software, but I'm looking to distribution software share. I find nothing.
Yeah, Didier Mavid speaking. The same. We did not notify about this. So.
Yes, Didier, perhaps I can help you. I have already contacted BT about
okay.
it. And right now, version 3 is still locked by BT Europe. So we are not able to do because they would like to add their extension module in there. And for this reason, we have to wait more or less 3 weeks before getting the software. I have informed headquarters about that because it's an issue for us for upgrade existing field test project, for example.
Hello, actually, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Catherine speaking on Pablo's microphone because mine doesn't work. So there is an organization with the regions, with SSP and with CPS, and we are not delivering to anybody except to the distribution managers. And these are people who are selected and defined, and if additional have to be introduced, so new people want to be on the list, they can address it and it will be considered. But this means prerequisite, and it's also then organized, and there are distributions that are created from the regions for the zones, so the whole process is defined. Don't hesitate to get back to us and to ask. We will consider your request.